Hello. Hello. Hi, guys. So, it's Thursday, which means it's a Reddit day. I'm going to fiddle just a little bit because we've been fiddling a lot when we get together. Sorry, guys. But, ooh, that is blue. That's even bluer. Okay, that's better. I think that's better. Um, but Thursdays are Reddit days. I love Thursdays now. I've loved Thursdays for a while, but for lots of different reasons. But anyway, so yeah, we do Reddit on Thursdays. This is the second channel. Um, Last night on the other channel, we had Charles Dickens stories. And yeah, I definitely need to be keeping tissues with me for the other channel. But anyway, Thursdays are fun. We're just going to read Reddits. So I was going to do best of Redditor updates tonight. Oh, sorry, I can see a cat hair flying through the air. Yeah, we were going to do best of Redditor updates. And then somebody suggested a different subreddit that I had not heard of. And I saw the first couple of titles and I was like, oh yeah, we are going to have to get into that one. So this is r/no sleep. If you guys are new to the channel, which we all are, because this is the new one, no sleep till Brooklyn. That's right. A little bit of brass monkey for myself. Not really. It's just orange soda. We're being good when we are working. Yeah, so if you are new, please like, share, subscribe, do all of the things. If you have a subreddit that you absolutely adore or you think is just hilarious, it is your good kind of like disassociate, whatever. You can't, you won't, and you don't stop. That's right. Oh, God. I'm gonna have the Beastie Boys in my head for like the next 3 days now. Thank you guys. Yeah, so I'm always down to check out new Reddit subreddits and whatnots to put here or just to read myself when I am just doom scrolling. So yeah, so we're gonna get started with a new channel or a new subreddit tonight. And we'll do this every Thursday for as long as we can. We've been doing the other channel for about 9 months now. And I love it. And I love sharing these nights with you guys and just hanging out. So, yeah, let's get into it. We got some Reddit. Our first one, I found a beautiful black cat. I shouldn't have named him Rasputin. And cue Todd the Fox music in the chat. This one definitely thought of you when I saw that Rasputin. Anyway, my mother died a little over 6 months ago. I lived with her, but she'd been battling a cancer diagnosis for a couple of years. Oh. Unfortunately, the metastasis was inevitable, and she died after prolonged suffering. I am so sorry. The funeral was beautiful. My mother's friends came from all over the country to say their final goodbyes. When it was over, I went home. A 10th floor apartment I rented with my mother, but which she never used, having spent her last months in the hospital. Upon entering, there was a silence. On the dining table was a vase with some flowers I had bought months earlier when the doctor said she was improving and would be back any day. Oh, so they'd just been sitting there for months. I left my briefcase on the table and felt my way to my room in the dark. I didn't want to turn on the lights because the exhaustion was shattering my legs. I'll bet. I felt a horrible emptiness in my chest, as if I had cried for entire months. And the truth is, I had. Oh. Although I had seen so much suffering in her, although I had seen so much suffering in her that deep in my heart, I longed for her to finally find rest. There we go. You never disappoint, darling. The following days were the same as always. I'd get up, have a quick breakfast, and run to the metro to get to work. My office was in the farthest corner of the building, right next to the company's servers. Rarely did anyone greet me there. There were days when I didn't even go in and no one noticed my absence. But I liked going to the office. I didn't want to be at home. Every day at home, I felt like mom would walk in at any moment. Oh, even into a place she never lived. So sad. Oh. The only times I spoke to anyone at the office were when there was a server issue. In those cases, Mark from accounting or Jane from human resources would come by with excessive friendliness so I'd attend to their problem, I'm sure. There was a point where I had gone so long without speaking to anyone that I intentionally created a fault in a user's account just to have someone to talk to. Oh, oh, babes. Oh, oh, I feel so bad for this man. And well, this was just posted yesterday. Oh, just posted yesterday. Okay, okay. Sorry. Sidetrack. And so the days passed without speaking to anyone, to the point where I no longer even looked at myself in the mirror before leaving the house. Until one ordinary day on my way home, I found that the building elevator had been broken down. Oh, that's I just always need tissues. I'm just a big crybaby. I found that the building elevator had broken down. He's on the 10th story. Oh, I'd get a hotel. There was a white sign with blue details instructing residents to use the stairs while the technical issues were resolved. It was too many floors. I was grateful I hadn't gone grocery shopping that day, as it would have been an ordeal. Yeah, it was already going to be an ordeal. I started climbing. My legs hurt as I climbed the empty stairs at almost 11 p.m. Suddenly, as I was reaching the 7th floor, I heard a cry. It sounded like a baby. Oh no. I mean, I read the title, but I know that sound. At first, I ignored it, but the sound became clearer and more audible. It was a meow, but it wasn't just any meow. A kitten was crying out in desperation. I opened the door separating the stairs from the hallway and saw the multiple doors stretching to the end, trying to identify where the sound was coming from. I saw a puddle of what seemed to be water at the far end. I walked slowly, watching as the motion-activated lights turned on one by one. When I was a few steps away, the light came on and the image was clear. Oh, the puddle was blood and the meowing was coming from that door. No, no, no. I approached and tried to open it, but couldn't. Oh, how? So there's like a gap under your apartment doors and like blood can. Oh, oh no. I immediately ran down the stairs to the concierge desk and informed the only guard on duty. We went up together, and after getting permission from his boss, he used a master security key. The scene was horrific. There was a woman with a mutilated leg lying in a pool of blood. Oh no! And on top of the woman was a little black kitten, a few months old, meowing desperately. The poor creature came towards me and started purring while rubbing against my calves. Oh, well, then you're done. Just done. I bent down to pick it up, and it looked at me with a tenderness that melted my heart. I held it to my chest, and it rubbed against my neck, alternating between purrs and meows of what seemed like pleasure. Oh, yep. The police arrived after about 2 hours. 2 hours! You must live in a really big city. I took the cat up to my apartment, Such a beautiful little creature had no business being in such a horrible place. A burly officer knocked on my door around 3 a.m. I told him everything that had happened, and he asked if I knew the woman. I denied any relation to her. I didn't even know her name. Yeah, if you get at least 10 floors on your apartment building, you're not going to know everybody. The officer asked about the cat. I told him it seemed to belong to the murdered woman, but that I didn't want to leave it there because of the traumatic scene. The officer said he'd check with his squad whether they should take the cat or if I could keep it. Yeah, sometimes they'll take it to a shelter or something. I'm not sure. At that moment, the cat puffed up at the officer and made that angry hissing face cats do. Oh, I tried to sleep, but the cat snuggled right on top of my face, making it hard to breathe. But the animal was so beautiful, I simply couldn't be angry with it. Ugh. That's little Leonard. He likes to sleep right here. Early in the morning, I went to work. I tried to give it some water as I had no food in the house to offer the kitten. The next day at the office was as long as any other, but I was particularly free of tasks, so I decided to leave a note on my desk with my phone number. Call me if you need anything urgent. Grabbed my things and left. Right across from my office, there happened to be a pet store. Of course. Upon entering, an older, gray-haired man with a mustache greeted me with a great cheer. Hi there. How can I help you? Thank you. Look, the thing is, I have a kitten, a few months old, staying at my house for now. I'd like to know what's the most important thing I should have while I have him. Of course, he said with a broad smile. The essential and most important things are three: a bed, a litter box, and of course, food. Excuse me. I looked through the items and tried to buy a bed that would match the color of my sofa. After all, I didn't want to clash. That's so sweet. Oh, I also bought a litter box, a bag of unscented litter, a bag of kitten food, plus bowls for water and food. I also bought a little mouse toy. I didn't want the kitten to damage things in the house, but I didn't want him to get bored either. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Buy the toys. They're still going to scratch what they want. Since I had so many bags, I decided to take a taxi and started thinking about everything I was missing. A scratching post, a carrier. Also, something extremely important was missing. A leash with a tag so he wouldn't get lost, and of course, a name. I think you mean a collar with a tag. But I've seen people walk cats on leashes, so maybe. What was I going to call him? Normally, I'd stay silent for the entire taxi ride, but the driver, seeing me so loaded, said, So, new pet? A cat, right? Yes, sir. It's a kitten I found. I couldn't describe the scene without a shudder. Well, found on the street. Cats are like that. They adopt you. What's his name? Honestly, I haven't even thought about it. You could call him Rasputin. It's the name my grandmother always used for her cats, usually for black cats. We chatted a bit more and quickly arrived at my place. As I said goodbye, I thanked him for the conversation and commented that I would indeed name my kitten Rasputin. When I entered the building, it was the same guard who had accompanied me on the day of the horrible scene. Hey, have you heard anything about the case? Do they know who's responsible? What I heard, nothing yet. The police have come several times and taken evidence, but it seems they have no suspects yet. Oh, that'd be even scarier. I took the elevator, grateful it was working again because I was carrying things. Upon reaching my floor, I could hear the meowing from the hallway. Oh, poor baby was lonely. That sound filled my chest with warmth. Someone was waiting for me at home. I opened the apartment door and the cat lunged at me. He was purring like crazy and I dropped the things to hug him. I felt an intoxicating happiness. Rasputin, I said, and he immediately looked at me as if recognizing an old friend, but quickly changed his expression back to that of the usual sweet cat. Look what I bought you. And I showed him all of the things. You must be starving, so I'll serve you some food. I arranged the things and served him some of the kibble the man at the pet store had given me. I put the food on the dining table because I had no other suitable spot. He approached curiously, but simply sniffed sniffed the food with indifference. Guess you're not that hungry. I tried to convince him to eat, but he just got annoyed and ran off. My mistake, I bought the wrong food. It would be good to know what his previous owner fed him. You're not going to go check, are you? No, cats are just finicky. He just wants to be a pain in the butt. I ate a sandwich and went to bed, calling for Rasputin to join me, but he didn't even look at me. He was outside staring out the window indifferently. It felt like a blow to the chest, but I tried to sleep. No, that's just black cat energy. Totally. Where's my maybe? She's around here somewhere. At this hour, I wouldn't find the right food anyway. No, do not make a special trip for a cat. Good Lord. I mean, they're wonderful. Don't get me wrong. You guys know I have my two, and I love them. But if you don't want to eat, then you're not hungry enough. Where were we? Upon waking, Rasputin was right beside me, sleeping in a ball. I tried to get up without waking him. I'd go look for food. Before leaving, I smelled something horrible, like rotten meat, and realized I hadn't cleaned the litter box. I got a bag from the kitchen and went to the litter box. There was a mound of almost a pound covered in litter. This is too much for such a small cat. I wrapped it in the bag and took it to the outside trash. I walked. Got worms. I have worms. I walked several blocks looking for kitten food. It turns out there are too many brands. Yes, there are. I bought 6 small bags of food. Oh gosh. 2 of the most expensive, 2 mid-range, and 2 budget. I also bought several canned foods. None of them are going to be right. I'm so sorry to tell you, but you have a black cat. None of them are going to be right until he tells you they are. And then that'll change. I also bought several canned foods, about 4. I wanted to do a massive test. One of them had to appeal to him. I quickly returned home and put the food in little plastic cups I had bought for that purpose. I put almost 10 different foods in front of my cat and left him there to see which one he'd go for. He had to eat something. It had been almost 2 days without food. He was going to get sick. Rasputin approached and sniffed each container, but ignored them all. He didn't even try them. He went to my bed, curled up, and lay down. No food interested him. My desperation was total. I don't know what to feed him. There has to be something he likes. No, there's just not going to be. I decided to go to the butcher for something different. I bought a cut of meat from every animal I found. Pork, chicken, beef, rabbit, fish, even a cut of venison the butcher offered me when he saw I was buying peculiarities. I got home and did the same routine. I offered him all the foods, but nothing worked. I give up, I said. Hunger will make him eat. So I finished my daily tasks and continued with my routine, but the kitten meowed intensely. What do you want? You don't like anything I give you. I don't know what to give you. What do you want from me, blood? The cat climbed onto my legs and started nibbling at my pants. Do you want to eat me? Is that what you want? I put him down and he walked away. The next day, I tried arranging the food samples again, trying to keep everything fresh. My dining room had become a food display. There were almost 20 cups with different foods to see if any worked. I even put out some carrot and vegetables to see if the little animal would respond to any of them. I went to work and upon returning saw that he still hadn't taken a bite and was meowing more and more desperately. I had already tried giving him almost every food, even asking the pet store owner, who recommended I take him to a vet because it could be some illness. If you don't eat anything today, Rasputin, we'll have to go to a vet. The cat puffed up with anger, just like with the policeman, and gave me that hissing face cats make when they're angry. Oh, sir, what a temper! I started chopping vegetables for my dinner, but just as I was cutting the onion, the kitten ran towards me and nudged me. It was very gentle, but enough to make the knife slip a little and cut my hand. At that moment, I was annoyed that the vegetables were getting stained with blood, so I tried to wash them immediately, but the cat jumped onto the kitchen table, approached me, and licked my finger. How sweet. He's worried about me, I thought, and I petted him. The cat started purring again, and I felt the happiness that had overwhelmed me the first day. Well, at least you're eating something, haha. Oh, no, no, no. So he should have been Audrey, too. A little psychopath. The cashier looks like plant food to me. Oh my gosh. This is bizarre. Okay. When I got to the bedroom, I disinfected the wound with some alcohol because, after all, it was a cat and the wound could get infected. We slept snuggled up, and I felt companionship, warmth, and happiness. The next day, I kept thinking about what had happened and thought that maybe what the kitten wanted was fresh prey. I understand some are hunters and prefer only fresh food. Somewhat so. Oh. I think I know where this is going, and there's a reason that Elliot only got crickets. Only ever got crickets if he was getting live food. Okay. A somewhat far fetched but possible idea occurred to me. I could bring a little mouse for the kitten to eat, a hamster, or even a small bird. When wasn't attacked? She died of a heart attack or something. Oh, oh, no. Okay. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Oh, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Okay. I decided to do it. I went to a pet store and bought a small mouse. I wanted it to be as small as possible. I put it in a box where I couldn't see it. I didn't want to get attached. It was just food for Rasputin. When I got home, I showed him the animal. The cat sniffed it and then walked away indifferently. I closed the box and tried to think of how to get Rasputin's attention. I tried putting it near him. I tried closing us in a room and making the mouse run, but nothing worked. Then, oh no, no. At almost 4 in the afternoon, in the midst of desperation over not knowing how to respond to Rasputin, I grabbed the mouse and cut its head off in one slash. Oh, the experience was chilling, but somewhat liberating. I took the blood and put it on a plate. I offered it to Rasputin. He approached, sniffed a little, gave a couple of licks, and walked away. Well, it's something, I thought. I remembered I hadn't finished my tasks for the day and ran off to complete as much as I could before time ran out. I sent them and kept thinking about how to respond to Rasputin's hunger. Things didn't seem to be improving. My poor animal was skin and bones, and it was all my fault. I'm useless. I can't even have a pet. I was in the kitchen again, trying to prepare something to eat, and I remembered the scene with the knife, the mouse, and the blood. Oh, I don't. Okay. I know. We're strapped in. We got to finish it. Okay. I was in the kitchen again trying to prepare something to eat, and I remembered the scene with the knife, the mouse, and the blood. I thought while looking at the blade. I put my index finger right on the tip, and almost without thinking, I made a jab. At first, my finger seemed intact, but then a red drop began to grow on my finger. I looked for Rasputin's plate and let about 7 drops of blood fall onto it. At that instant, Rasputin jumped onto the plate and licked it as if it were a delicacy, then sought out my finger and licked it. Ah, no! The cat purred, curled around my legs, and climbed onto me. He was a happy animal again. I felt that I was happy too, and the pain in my finger vanished because of the great love I was receiving from the beautiful Rasputin. Okay, time out for a second. So sometimes these are absolute like BS stories, right? Like this is just a horror story that somebody wrote because like this can't be real. This cannot be a real thing. You're not feeding your cat your own blood. You're not feeding your cat your own blood. Okay. Okay. In the following days, I went to a pharmacy and asked the clerk what was the best way to extract small amounts of blood. It yes, I need this to not be real. I'm waiting. Okay. I want it to be like, okay, Bazinga at the end or something. Okay. I also asked how much blood I could take without it affecting me. He gave me a syringe and some instructions. Okay, this is okay. Okay, so this can't be real. A pharmacist would like probably be like, anyway. He gave me a syringe and some instructions. He said that for glucose tests, only a drop was necessary and that I should be very careful to disinfect everything. Oh. I arrived home happy. I sat on the sofa, took out all the instruments, drew a full syringe of blood, and served it on the plate. At that moment, Rasputin began to lick the plate with incredible happiness. I tried to touch him, but he reacted with anger. I understand, I understand. What a temper. After drinking the blood, he purred a little and rubbed against me, but then walked away. This act gradually became routine. I'd extract a little blood, give it to him, he'd eat, and I'd go on with my day. I Okay, yeah, this is not okay. All right. So this is the big lie. Okay, so we just know this is fiction now. Okay. Phew. Okay. I had to invest in supplements and more food because I was losing energy. There were days when I felt dizzy, but Rasputin's love made everything worth it. After a couple of weeks, everything was beautiful. He was happy, I was happy, and everything was going wonderfully. But when I arrived at the building one day, the police were there. They indicated they had to search for information about the crime. They asked to check my apartment, and upon seeing Rasputin, who was plump, I said, "Look, this is my larger feline." The officer saw the syringes in the kitchen and asked me why I had them. I became a bundle of nerves and said the first thing that came to mind. That's because, it's because, that's because, that's because I have sugar problems. For glucose tests, it's just a drops. Yes, the thing is, the thing is, my device doesn't work well, so I have to use more blood. I see, said the officer. Let me see it. My nephew is diabetic. I could help you adjust it. No, no, I have it put away, and why bother? Besides, you have a jaguar or a tiger to find, don't you? The officer left, and I quickly went to the kitchen to get the syringe. I was an hour late with Rasputin's feeding. I drew almost double the blood from the first time and got dizzy. But this time, Rasputin responded with the same cold indifference as the first time. It destroyed me. I kept thinking about it. I don't know what to do. I tried extracting more, but the animal didn't respond. Ugh. In the midst of desperation over not knowing how to respond and Rasputin's coldness, I looked in the kitchen for the sharpest knife. Okay, guys. Okay. Remember how we found the cat? I tried to find the meatiest part of my leg and cut into it with one slash. It was just a few centimeters of flesh, but my beautiful Rasputin responded with great happiness and devoured it greatly. Okay, if you have any children, turn it or just turn it off. I'll come back later and watch the rest of it. But okay. Okay. 3 weeks passed, and I had to keep cutting carefully, disinfecting, and sealing the edges so I wouldn't bleed out. It's meticulous. Clockwork like work. A balance. Rasputin was radiant. His black fur shone like tar under the dining room light, and his purrs were deep, satisfied, the engine of my world. When he looked at the fresh bandage, his golden eyes would dilate with an interest that made me smile. But one night, Rasputin's hunger was unbearable. His meows were no longer complaints, but a low, guttural growl that didn't come from a small animal. When I turned on the light, his shadow on the wall wasn't that of a kitten, but of a hunched creature with a hump and disproportionately long limbs. His eyes, fixed on me, gleamed with an ancient, hungry intelligence. A voice whispered, not a meow, but a rasping sound that came from its throat. It was then I knew I wasn't feeding a pet, but a parasite that had adopted the most convenient form to trap me. Before I could react, Rasputin leaped from the table, not with a cat's agility, but with the disjointed, swift movement of an insect. His legs, now long and thin like black rods, pinned me to the floor. I felt its breath, which smelled of old blood and cemetery earth on my face. The thigh now, that shredded voice whispered, as one of its claws settled, cold as metal, on the bandage on my leg. I couldn't believe it. My beautiful cat was actually a monster. It can't be. This must be a lie. But it lunged at me and licked my neck. I felt it would bite me in that instant, but I found the knife nearby and plunged it into the creature's side. The entity emitted a shriek of pain and jumped away. At that moment, it tried to transform back into a cat, making eyes full of suffering, seeking my remorse. But the transformation failed. It flickered like an old television between the horrible image of the monster and that of the beautiful kitten. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Okay. I felt as if my life had been destroyed. The only beautiful thing was actually a monster. It can't be. This monster must have eaten my beautiful Rasputin. Or maybe it's mimicking him. It saw that I loved my cat and took his form to deceive me. I ran down the stairs at full speed, my eyes filled with tears, stumbling from the damage done to my leg. I'm writing this from a cold interrogation room at the police station. The smell of stale coffee and disinfectant can't mask the sickly sweet stench of my own infected flesh. Paramedics arrived at the building and found me on the stairs losing blood, the knife still in my hand. They say I was screaming something about a shadow with a hump. The police searched the entire apartment. They found no sign of Rasputin. They don't believe what I tell them. I show them the bandages on my legs. I tell them about the shredded voice and the elongated shadow on the wall. They nod with compassion, noting delirium in their report. One of the officers recognized me. He asked if I was the man who was there when they found the dead woman. Now they think I did it, so they're calling my lawyer. But I know the truth. It was the monster, and it's waiting for me. Gross. Oh, so gross. Oh. Oh, okay. Do you guys want me to read the comments? There's 10 comments. Just because it was just posted yesterday. Um uh, oh my gosh. Oh, he was starting to get me there. He was starting to get me there because cats are not, yeah. Oh, I, oh, my cup was closed. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I am not nearly that creative. That was a good story. That was good. And like the OP in the comments is trying to keep it going a little bit. Um, Somebody said, "You poor thing, please do not blame yourself for any of this. The cat distribution system is notably fallible for many reasons, but this is way out of that department's purview, I think. You did nothing wrong with Rasputin. I'd say that you did admirably for a first time cat parent. You didn't do anything wrong. And the most one could say was that maybe you gave him too much choice in his food. But honestly, if you can afford to do so, why wouldn't you? I hope that you are now able to eat all of that nutritious food yourself and get your body healed. I also hope for you to be able to adopt a cat from a shelter. You're an amazing cat dad. It's not your fault that Rasputin may have murdered your neighbor because he was a monster the shape of a cat. He's not really representative of the CDS as a whole, so if you can find it in your heart to give someone else the opportunity to purr you to sleep, please do. Good luck. Opie says to that, thank you for your kind words. I really hope the police finish their investigation soon. I just want to go home and find a normal cat to keep me company this time. Um, yeah. Anyway, that was good. That was really good. Let's see if we can find. Oh. I think the cat little demon. Now you don't you say an ugly, hateful word about Oakley. That cat is beautiful. Let's see. Oh, okay. So yeah, these are not real. These are not real. I know she's a mess, but she's beautiful. She needs her Aunt Katie. Okay, so we're gonna find. We may save that one for next week. Um, okay, so here's a part one. That was just posted. Let's see. Some posted this week, not just today. So we can get some more comments. Okay. So I've not played the game. I do enjoy video games. Don't get me wrong. I haven't played Fallout yet, but we've been watching it. So this was posted. Looks like it was originally posted in November of 2021, but then posted to this subreddit 4 days ago. Let's see how long it is. Oh, that's like really, really long. Okay. We're going to save that one though. Because that, yeah, we're going to save that. Okay. Do. See if we can find just a little short one. So that one was called, sorry, my family locked themselves in a bomb shelter 4 years ago. They finally opened the door. So we will definitely save that one for next week because I think we may do a lot more with this subreddit. Sorry guys, some of these are really long. Okay. This should be okay. We might go a little long, but that's all right. My father warned me never to let the fire burn out while watching the cornfield at night. I think there's going to be some people sad that they went away. A little over a month ago, I went to the cornfield, a place that feels almost suspended in time. It lies a few hours north of my village, tucked deep beyond the forest that climbs the lower slopes of the mountain in Sulawesi, Indonesia. The air is cool and crisp, often carrying the faint scent of wet soil and pine from the highlands. My family has been planting corn in that same patch of land for as long as anyone can remember. My grandfather before my father, and my father before me. Every year, when the stalks turn gold and the wind rustles through them like a whispering sea, someone from the family takes turns keeping watch through the night, guarding the field beneath the stars. Oh, that's beautiful. This year was different, though. It was my first one doing it alone. I had just turned 20, and my father said it was time I learned what it meant to be a responsible adult. He said it was a rite of passage, something every man in our family had to go through. We've lost too much in the past to wild boars and macaques. Macaques? I don't remember. My father says those little bastards can clear out an entire patch in one night if no one's watching. It's like most farmers around here, we built a small treehouse for keeping watch. Nothing fancy, just bamboo poles, rusty nails, and an old tarp for a roof. It sits high enough to see over the corn and into the tree line, but low enough to stay steady when the wind howls through the forest. The day before I left, my father was sitting on the porch, sharpening his machete. My younger brother had left for school a few hours earlier, leaving the house unusually quiet. Make sure you bring enough batteries, he said, and don't sleep too early. You hear something, you shout. I know, I said, I'll be fine. He stopped sharpening and looked at me for the first time. His face was half in shadow. Something's been scaring the dogs at night. They won't even go near the edge of the woods. I laughed it off. Everyone in the village had been talking about strange noises lately. Low howls, something dragging through the brush, but people say things every harvest season. You sure you don't want me to come with you? He asked again for the zillionth time that day. Dad, I've got this. You can barely walk straight. I glanced at his tightly bandaged ankle, courtesy of a reckless motorcyclist who had run into him hard and fractured his shin last month. They haven't found the Nangan boys. His voice trailed off and my stomach sank a little. Dad, those kids probably wandered off and got lost. They'll find them or they'll return home in no time, I said, more to calm myself than him. Been over a month. How long can they survive getting lost in the woods like that? Just be careful, all right? He said. Start a good fire before dusk and keep it going all night. Don't let it burn out. Oh, excuse me. It'll keep the animals and whatever else away. Just don't go setting the whole field on fire. I won't, I said in passing. I'm serious. Keep the fire going all night, he said in a hoarse, high-pitched whisper. Jesus, Dad, I will. I packed some rice, dried fish, 2 bottles of water, some packs of Marlboros, and my old flashlight. I also brought my phone, even though there was no reception out there. It was still good for time checking and a few offline games. Before leaving, I wiped down my hunting rifle, checked the chamber, and slung it over my shoulder just in case. Truth is, I kind of enjoy these nights alone in the field. Every now and then, a wild boar shows up, and if I'm lucky, I get to bring home some fresh meat. I set out before noon when the air was still warm. It smelled faintly of soil and corn pollen. The road wound the road wound north through the village, past rice fields and clusters of wooden houses, before narrowing into a rough, uneven stretch where the asphalt gave way to gravel and dirt. Drove. Oh, sorry guys. I drove my old pickup for nearly 2 hours, the engine growling as I climbed higher into the hills. The elevation wasn't particularly high, just enough for the air to cool and thin slightly, but the road that led there was a narrow, winding mess. So I'm struggling with their geography, but that's okay. The elevation wasn't particularly high. Okay, sorry, I read that sentence already. I had to ease my foot on the gas, keeping both hands firm on the wheel to keep the truck from skidding off the cliffside. I parked near a cluster of pines where the trail ended, killing the engine, and listened for a moment to the hum of cicadas and the distant rush of water. The air smelled of sap and damp earth. From there, it was a steady walk uphill. The narrow path wound through patches of pine trees before dipping sharply downhill again, where it crossed a shallow stream. Okay. Does anybody else feel like this is a really long journey to keep an eye on their cornfield? They're kind of losing me a little bit. Where it crossed a shallow stream that cut through the valley floor. I stopped by the stream along the way and threw in a line. The water was cold and clear, curling around my ankles as I waited for a bite. As I waited, something caught the light beneath the surface, a small glint just below my reflection. I leaned closer and reached in, my fingers brushing against cold metal. When I pulled it out, I saw it was an old, rusted, I think that's rusted, button, one of those cheap imitation gold ones that might have once been part of a uniform. The shine was long gone, but a faint yellow gleam still clung stubbornly to its edges. I turned it over in my hand, thumb tracing the worn grooves, and a flicker of memory surfaced. Me as a kid, standing by the same stream with my father, finding things just like this. Torn scraps of fabric, a dented bracelet, a broken piece of a yo-yo, its paint faded, and edges chipped from years of neglect. I even found a gold ring once, dulled by mud and time. I remembered how he'd snatch it from me without a word and hurl it straight back into the river. "Don't pick up shit like that. You hear me?" He'd said once, the words still sharp in my head. "Things come down from the hill sometimes. Best leave them be." This doesn't sound like Indonesia either. Yes. I stared at the button for a moment longer, then tossed it back into the water. It sank without a ripple, disappearing as if it had never been there at all. After half an hour of waiting, I finally caught two medium-sized mujer for dinner. I gutted them on a flat rock and wrapped them neatly in taro leaves for roasting later. Ugh. It wasn't until I bent down to rinse the fish guts from my fingers that I noticed a faint sting between my toes. I looked down and saw 3 fat leeches, slick and black, clinging stubbornly to my skin. Oh, gross. Oh. Damn it, I muttered under my breath. I sat on the rock and tried to pry them off, but they clung tighter. their bodies swelling slightly with each drop they drank. Remembering what my father used to do, I took a pinch of salt from my rucksack and sprinkled it over them. They writhed and loosened, falling back into the stream one by one, leaving thin trails of blood that swirled away in the current. Oh. On my way back to the trail, I gathered a bundle of dry sticks and pine needles for kindling, the sharp resin scent clinging to my hands. The path cut a shallow gully carved long ago by the river, narrow and uneven, its narrow floor streaked with red clay and scattered stones, with rocks and ferns jutting out along the sides and wild grass growing between them. During the rainy season, it filled with runoff from the hills, and sometimes, when the river swelled past its banks, with overflow, turning the gully into a fast churning stream. But now it was mostly dry. Just a few damp patches and the faint smell of wet earth lingering in the air. I followed it uphill, stepping over roots and loose stones until the ground leveled out again near the cornfield. By then, the sky had turned a dim copper, the last light bleeding softly through the haze. The cornfield lay atop a gentle knoll, encircling a small clearing where the old treehouse stood like a quiet sentinel above the golden stalks. From up there, the view stretched across a rippling field and down toward the north, where the land sloped lazily toward a stream I'd stopped by earlier in the day. Excuse me. Here, the water ran wider and slower, winding through a narrow band of reeds that shimmered in the afternoon light. The air smelled faintly of sun-warmed corn and damp earth, and somewhere in the distance, cicadas droned in the trees that lined the foothills. My treehouse stood on a crooked trunk in the center of the field, offering a clear view of the whole clearing and the darkening forest beyond. I climbed up into the treehouse and looked around. The small mat was still there in the corner, the old hanging lantern swaying gently in the breeze. Even the weathered wooden chest sat right where we'd left it, packed with musty blankets, some half-burned chunky white candles my father had borrowed from the church, and a couple of torches. Okay. So this is like a daily thing, right? Or I'm really confused. I'm really confused by the narration of parts of this, like, because that makes it sound really nostalgic, but like, don't they do this every day? I don't know. I unscrewed the old oil lantern and carefully wiped each part with a torn, oil-stained rag I'd found in the wooden chest. Okay, I might call it on this story, guys. I'm sorry, but it doesn't make any sense. If this is if this is your cornfield, this is your livelihood. And yeah, I'm having a hard time suspending disbelief. I'm really sorry, but I'm calling it. This is not a good story. And I'm sure it gets scarier. But it's long for it to go back and forth between stuff that makes sense and stuff that doesn't. Sorry, I'm calling it. I'm not going to give us a whole lot of vetoes. We're going to have to like commit, but nope, I can't with that one. Sorry guys. What is this one called? If you want to go back and finish reading it, you are more than welcome to. My father warned me never to let the fire burn out while watching the cornfield at night. Yeah. It lies a few hours north of my village. Yeah, I don't know. My family's been planting corn in that same patch of land for as long as anyone can remember. My grandfather before my father before me. Yeah. I don't know. I'm having a hard time. children are going to come out to play. Probably, or it's going to be some sort of shadow monster. I'm not sure. But yeah, he didn't take enough food for like more than one night, which means somebody had to be out there the night before. And if his father's, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I love you guys. I know you can come at me in the comments later, but yeah, I just can't. It's got to make sense. It's got to be consistent. So I will see you guys. I'm sorry. I'm cutting it. I know. I'm sorry. It's my channel. I can do that if I want to. And if it disappoints you guys, I'm sorry, but I can't do it. I can't keep going back and trying to figure out what I just read because it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, continuity wise, or maybe I'm just out of it. But I will see you guys next Thursday. See you on the other channel on Wednesday. I'm going to get off of here because we've got Coven in half an hour. So I'm going to go. I got to change clothes. Yeah, I got to get witched up for the Coven. So I'll see you guys soon. I love you. Karen, I'll see you on Saturday. There's my button. I love you. Bye.